After I converted to Catholicism at the end of my senior year in college, I went out and I had a job out in the world, and it was a job that I loved and enjoyed and had a lot of travel with it. And yet, the way Providence worked, I ended up moving back to Indianapolis after having been away for a while. And when I got back to my hometown of Indianapolis, I got settled into a parish. And when I was in the parish, they had a parish mission, probably the first or second week that I was there. And I knew who the priest was and wanted to hear him speak. And so I went to this parish mission. Now, I had heard God in my prayer inviting me to the priesthood, but I wanted no part of it. I wanted to get out in the world. I wanted to find a wife. I wanted to get married. I wanted to have kids. And I wanted to enjoy everything that life had to offer. And so priesthood wasn't on my radar. Well, when I went to this parish mission, the first night, this priest, he spoke about the Eucharist, and I thought, this is great. And the second night, he talked about Our Lady. I thought that was great. The third night, he talked about vocations. And at the end of his talk, he invited all the young men and women there who felt like they might have had a vocation to the priesthood or religious life to come forward up to the sanctuary so that he could pray over them. And the minute that he put that invitation out there, I felt a pain in my heart. I knew that God was asking me to do this, that he'd been asking me for months to do this, and that I had shut him out. And yet I couldn't do it. And he kept calling and calling, and young men and women both went up there. And I just felt this pain in my heart. But all the same, I couldn't go. Well, finally, this priest starts looking around and he goes, not everybody's up here. The Holy Spirit's telling me that there's a young man here tonight who has a call to the priesthood that he's denying. And he says, you know who you are because you can feel the pain in your heart. And I thought, oh my goodness. But all the same, I just grabbed the pew in front of me and white knuckled it as best I could. I thought, I am not going up there. Well, finally the priest relented and he said, you know who you are. You can come talk to me afterwards. And I thought to myself, you know what, buddy? As soon as you're done, I'm out of here and I'm going to forget about this. Well, he blessed the people who were up there. And then they had some time for adoration and a little Eucharistic procession. So they brought the Eucharist out and placed it into the monstrance. And we knelt down and we prayed for a while. And then he said he wanted to do a procession around the church. And so he and my pastor and the altar boys were processing around the church. And as he came down my aisle, and I was seated on the end of the pew on the main aisle, as he was just carrying the monstrance in front of him, all of a sudden as he passed by my pew, the monstrance swung over like this, so that I had the host right here in my face. And the priest pulled the monstrance back and he looked at me and said, you're the one being called to the priesthood, aren't you? And it was the moment of truth in my life where I knew I couldn't escape. And so I said, yes, Father, it's me. So he blessed me, and he went and he finished with a benediction. Well, after that happened, I knew that I had to go and speak privately with the priest. And so after the benediction, people started breaking up. I made my way to the sacristy, and there these two old ladies chewing on this guy's ear, talking to him about everything. And when he saw me out of the corner of his eye, he just kind of pushed them out of the way. He grabbed me by the arm, he threw me in the sacristy, and he looked at me and said, who are you? And I said, Father, I'm Tim. And he said, well, Timothy, I want to tell you something. I didn't do that with the monstrance. Jesus pointed you out to me and showed me that you were the one with the vocation. That night, I went home and I sat up and I prayed for a while, and I said, Lord, I don't want this. I do not want this. This is not my will. And if you want me to be a priest, then you've got to change my heart. That was the feast of St. Vincent de Paul, a beautiful September night. And the next morning I woke up. It was a bright morning in September. The sun was shining. And as soon as I opened my eyes, the first thought that crossed my mind was, I want to be a priest. Overnight, God had changed my heart and showed me that that's what I really wanted to do with my life. I was positively giddy. And less than a year later, I was in the seminary. And it's been a joyful, joyful life that I've had as a priest, a very rich and happy priesthood. And I can see why God pointed me in this direction, and I'm so glad He did.